Okay, this morning we are going to be processing some peppers, sweet peppers in this case, for freeze drying and preserving for other meals and use in the pantry. So stay tuned and we're going to get it going. Okay, so to start with, all we're going to do is cut around the top and take out the pepper seeds. Set those aside, and I'm not worried about a few pepper seeds like this. So that's all we're going to do. We're going to process them like this, then we're going to get them cut up. Okay, so we got all of our peppers cored, and these particular peppers are a pimento sweet chili, and they just don't have a lot of that white pithy stuff like some of your bell pepper varieties do, but any pepper you can process them like this. So we've got that step done. Now you can either use a knife and hand slice these or dice these the way that you want. We're going to be using this little mandolin style thing today, and so our next step is to get that sliced up. So that's what we're going to do. We got some of the peppers processed, and we're just going to scooch those over there for now. We're going to grab a tray and start loading those up. We have already cleaned and sanitized the freeze dryer and changed the oil. We are going to be using the Harvest Right silicone mats today, and we keep ours in the freezer when we're not using them. And just because this is kind of a wet product, we're going to go ahead and use the Harvest Right silicone pads. We don't want these to come up over the thickness of the tray. So we're just going to get these trays loaded up, get this bin empty, and we're going to get back to slicing. And if we need to even out the trays a little bit before we start the cycle, then we will do that. Alright, and we're just going to go ahead and place this one in the freeze dryer so it can sit while we load up trays and get the rest of them going. Okay, we've got all 4 trays loaded up, and they're about tray high, all of them. And they're not frozen, they're not even cold. We've got the machine is turned off, we had just changed the oil. So these are obviously like fajita strip size, at least how we would use them for like fajitas, stir fry, chilies, that kind of thing. So this will be perfect for us. So we're just going to turn on the machine and put the insulator pad on and get it started. The final dry completed at about 24 hours. I had some phone calls and had to extend drying a little bit, or I did. And let's take a look here. Well, they look good, feel good, crispy, they're dry, they're warm, there are no cold spots. Crunchy. Super tasty. So we're going to get these packaged up. I'm not sure if I have enough quart jars available, but we might just go ahead and store these in a Mylar bag for now. So, all right. Well, we're going to get that done and get this defrost starting before we move on to the next batch. All right, so there we go. We got 5 quarts of the sweet chilies jarred up, freeze dried. We will vacuum seal these in the harvest right here after the defrost cycle and store these for future recipes and just pantry use. But they'll definitely be going into some backpacking meals, so stay tuned for those later in the year. Okay, so we've got 5 quarts to vacuum seal. So I'm going to do 2 batches. I've got 3 quarts in here right now. And I'll just show you how we do this. So we're just going to press right here. So we've got the door closed and the valve is closed. So now we're just going to turn on the vacuum. So when it gets below 2000 mTOR, I normally just turn it off, and then we're going to let it stabilize because it takes some time for the pressure transducer inside the machine to, actually be updating. It doesn't update instantaneously. So even if you stop it at 2000, often it's going to continue to go down for a little bit, and then it'll start going back up and then kind of stabilize out. So that's good where we're at. So even though we stopped at 2000, it really is more like 1600. Okay. So that's it. I just take them down to when they hit 2000 mTOR. I just turn off the vacuum pump. When you're putting these in here, just make sure they're just finger tight, maybe even less finger tight than when you're doing water bath canning, and it should work great. And then you can either store them without the ring or with the ring. A lot of the time on quart jars, I don't store them with a ring. And then on pint jars, I do, but you do you. And so you can, tighten these down to make sure the seal stays sealed, but I really haven't had much trouble with that if you get them vacuum sealed correctly to begin with. So it's that simple. On to the remainder. Well, that about wraps it up for this video on freeze drying sweet chili peppers. These are pimento peppers, of course, we grew in our garden, but you can really do this with bell peppers or any other pepper for that matter. And it's just a great way to preserve them for the pantry or other backpacking meals or other uses that you may have to vacuum seal them in glass jars. And you could certainly use Mylar bags or 5-gallon buckets, a variety of things that you could do. But I hope you find this helpful in preparing your food stores. And thanks for tuning in. We hope this was helpful and you learned something. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. And make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe button and go ahead and sign up to the channel. Make sure to click the bell and make the selection so that you get all notifications, and you'll get notified every time we add new content here on the channel. Additionally, if you're interested in following us on social media, you can check us out at Instagram and Snap at FrostySith. And you'll get similar kind of content. It's just shorter, sort of in the moment, day by day stuff that we're doing. That could be gardening, it could be food preparation, being self-sufficient, camping, backpacking, freeze drying, a variety of things that we might be doing around here at FrostySith, and you'll get a little bit of that content if you follow us on those social media platforms. So that's it. Stay tuned for next week, and we're probably going to get out a video on roasted peppers and freeze drying those for some special backpacking meal that I have planned there. So stay tuned for that, and remember, whenever you can, get up, get out, live a little. See ya. This is my paper cup from the hotel that I'm going to use for 10 days. It works perfectly fine for backpacking. What do you call that when you upcycle? I guess upcycling, right?
You just said it, buddy.
Yep. Good morning, John.
Repurposing.
Yep.
The other thing